Nikita Koloff, the Russian Nightmare, and you are listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D.
Welcome once again to Live and in Color with Wolfie D and my man Jimmy across the street. And Jimbo, we got something going on today that our man Captain Nick from Captain's Corner has hooked us up with one of the all-time greats in the wrestling business, brother.
I know, brother, Uncle Ivan. It's bad. I'm sorry.
Brother, Nikita Koloff, brother.
I know, dude. I'm stoked. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my God. I can't even believe it, bro. Like, seriously, I didn't know that we were going to get to talk to people like Nikita, man. So this is, it's a roll, bro, because Pat Tanaka, man, is blowing up the charts right now as far as things go. It's just every time I look at it, it climbs and climbs. It's not staying at that same static number. It's going, moving. Yeah. So thank y'all so much for listening to that. Pat is just awesome. Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
But we had to follow it up with something incredible, and Nikita was the one to pick.
Yeah, man. We definitely were able to follow it.
Yeah. So real quick, Glory Days GrappleCon 2, Saturday, March 29th, Lutz, Florida, Residence Inn, Tampa Suncoast Parkway at North Point Village. See Nikita and many, many other stars of the WCW and our homie Captain's Corner, Captain Nick. Anyway, dude, by the way, but guess what happened to me last night?
You got laid.
I mean, of course. But other than that,
I have no clue.
Out of the blue, totally unsolicited whatsoever. Unsolicited, yes, that's a very important term. Out of the blue, I get a message on Facebook Messenger, and it says, "Hello, just heard your interview with Al Perez. Great guy. Love him like family. Appreciate your conversation about my dad. Signed, Gary Hart's son, Jason Williams."
Well, that just made your night, didn't it?
Dude, it did. And it went on into like a 30-minute conversation just talking about stuff from like Tony Falk to Josephus, really? to just different Al Perez, of course, talking about you doing the whirly bird. Talking about, how much Tony Falk loved Gary because he took the Boy Tony gimmick off of him. And, they actually Jason told me a funny story. He said, yep, and we put him on a bull at the Mesquite Rodeo Arena. Can you imagine Tony? His name was Sledgehammer. Can you hear Tony? I can hear him saying, now, Uncle Gary, you going to put Tony on a damn bull. Put me on a bull named Sledgehammer.
Tell the story. We need to get that.
Yes, we got to make that.
Get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it says Cowboy Tony was a fighter, a lover, and a hell of a man.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. Yeah. So, but he really enjoyed the Al Perez interview, and he said he was a member of.
So he follows us evidently. Listens to this.
Apparently, yeah. And for some reason, he reached out to me. I guess I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
I guess I was one that was openly talking about Gary. So.
Yeah. That's why I say that, because evidently he realizes you're a big mark for his dad.
I sure enough am. Yeah, man. So. Anyway, that was cool. And actually, I knew about this guy because, I've talked so much to Tony about Gary because Tony's a fountain of information. And he said that he had some kids. One of them was named Jason. His name's Jason, Jimmy Jason. And I'm like, okay. And yeah, man. And this is just out of the blue, all because of an Al Perez interview. I'm talking to Gary Hart's son. That's crazy.
Who was it that used to say, when you said fountain of information, who was it? Was it Gorilla Monsoon that would say, tell Heenan he was a fountain of misinformation?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Or was it Jesse?
I think it was
somebody used to say that. Here I found a misinformation. I can't hear the voice, but I can hear the word.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, rando.
Listeners, let us know that one.
Anyway, man.
Yeah.
We're sitting here
talking about Nikita and Gary Hart's kid.
let's get Nikita on the line. I cannot wait.
We'll be right back after these messages. Get the Kremlin on the hotline.
Pepsid Complete knows that food is one of the best parts of game day. That is, until heartburn strikes. Thankfully, just one chewable tablet of Pepsid Complete provides dual-action heartburn relief with an antacid that starts working instantly and an acid reducer that lasts all day. So you can stay focused on that second helping of chili without worrying about heartburn. All day based on 8-hour symptom relief studies during the day. Use product only as directed.
You've maxed out your 401k, you're contributing to an IRA, and making some other investments. You're ahead of the game and doing well. But where do you go from here? The same old story can only get you so far. If you want a new take from a new type of financial professional, we invite you to get a fresh perspective beside an agent with the backing of New York Life. Insurance, investments, retirement, and more. Visit NYL.com to learn more. Investments are offered through registered representatives of NYLife Securities, LLC. Member FINRA SIPC, a New York Life company.
Clorox Sentiva smells like lavender. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
All right, that could go on for a while. Experience the long-lasting freshness of Clorox Sentiva. Now available in Clorox Sentiva Lavender Scented Bleach. Use as directed.
Hey folks, to get your official Live It in Color with Wolfie D merchandise, go to prowrestlingtees.com/live Wolfie D. Check it out.
If you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D on Apple Podcast and like what you're hearing, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, write a review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. It's very important to us and always appreciated. Thanks again.
All right, guys, we're back. You survived another break, and you're going to be so happy you survived this break. Very special guest today, as always, man. But this one, man, Jimmy, this is a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger, man.
I know.
We got somebody I grew up watching, before I got in the business. And I'm just going to go ahead and introduce him, man, because I want to get this rolling. I got some questions I want to ask of the Russian nightmare, Nikita Koloff. How you doing, man?
Wolfie D and Jimmy Street. Hey, I'll tell you what, your listeners might have survived the break, but I don't know if they could survive a Russian sickle.
I don't either. I don't know, man.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
I doubt they could.
Great to be with you guys.
Thank you, sir.
So much, man. There's so much I want to ask, and we're going to try to cram it into this little show here. But I just really like to start with people at the beginning, man, because obviously, like, I watched you in my teenage years, and then I got in, but, like, I like to know the backstory, man. What was little Nikita like?
Yeah, and little would be the right word because, back in my younger days, I tell people all the time when I tell my story, I'm like, I was not a big kid. I mean, at the age of 12, I'll kind of condense the story. I tell people if you want the full story, then they can get it either an Audible book, Nikita, Tale of the Ring of Redemption, or a hard copy off my website. But all that said, we'll give an abbreviated story today. So, age 12, I pick up a magazine called Iron Man. It was a bodybuilding magazine, and I was just enamored by the guys. And I said to myself, and I told a few others, my buddies in the neighborhood, one day I'm going to look like one of those guys. And I went and bought a 110-pound plastic weight set from an old company called Sears and Roebuck. And I went to work, guys. I just went to work. I started lifting. I might have been 100 pounds with rocks in my pocket and soaking wet. Like, that's how big I was at age 12. But I went to work, and then in ninth grade, a guy named Jerry McFarland came into my life. He was a health teacher in my junior high school, but he was also a certified professional bodybuilder. So you might naturally know I gravitated towards him, right?
Yeah.
And for the next 4 years, 9th grade, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, man, I hung out every moment I could possibly hang out with Jerry McFarland. And that kind of set the tone, teaching me nutrition, eating, exercise, and lifting and bodybuilding. That's the early part of the days, guys.
Right. And I know you played a lot of football, and then all the guys that played, we had John Nord on not too long ago. What a hilarious dude he is. But he was telling all the guys that were on the football team up there, man, and that's like a all-star wrestler football team.
Yeah, people assume because we had John Nord, Nikita Koloff, Barry Darso, Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, that we must have had a state championship team, but unfortunately you need coaching as well. And so we had great individuals, but we did not have the best coaching. So we were not the best team in the state of Minnesota.
Well, I'm gonna leave my imagination that y'all were awesome, and I could see like somebody making a team, like a creative team on Madden or something like that, and having all y'all and y'all's gimmicks and stuff. That'd be awesome.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah, man. So getting into wrestling, I read that it was Joe, it was Animal that got you in, right? Kind of convinced you to do that instead of football or something.
Yeah. So I, my passion, my love was pro football. That was again right around the same time I picked up that Iron Man magazine. I kind of fell in love with football and lived, ate, slept, breathed it, and had my sights on, like many young boys, had my sights on playing in the NFL one day, was on that path through my college days. Couple setbacks, couple major injuries in my college days, but it didn't hold me back. I just used those setbacks as a comeback to stay on that path to fulfill that dream. And what some people know and many people don't know is I literally recruited Joe out of Irondale High School, New Brighton, Minnesota, to play college football with me. I did not know him until I gave him a tour of our campus, him and his mom and dad. We became best of friends. He ended up dropping out of college. Next thing I know, he's on the Superstation TBS. And then, he would later recruit me into pro wrestling as I was training for a pro football tryout.
So were you a wrestling fan at all growing up?
Technically not really. I was familiar with it. I mean, I'm in Vern Gagne territory, right? And so not hard to flip the channels and catch, all-star wrestling sanctioned by the AWA, and see some of the guys. And then in college, I actually worked out in an old sweatbox gym in North Minneapolis called Ventura's Gym. Yes, Jesse the Body Ventura. So I got to know him, but that's still my dream was football. So even though I got to know him, I'm still pursuing football at that point.
That's interesting. Jimmy, go ahead and plug the Tampa gimmick or the Lutz gimmick.
Yeah, so it's the Glory Days GrappleCon 2 with Captain's Corner, our good buddy Nick. That's Saturday, March 29th, Lutz, Florida, Residence Inn, Tampa Suncoast Parkway at North Point Village. This is a WCW extravaganza. We've got all the greats. I mean, NWO Sting, Jeff Farmer, Bunkhouse Buck, Colonel Robert Parker, Ming, Glacier, and then, of course, what WCW would be complete without the main man, the Russian Nightmare, Nikita Koloff. Seriously.
You guys are kind. I'm going to throw a couple others in there that I heard a rumor is going to be Danny Spivey.
Awesome.
And Dirty Dutch Mantel.
There.
Dutch.
Yes.
Dirty Dutch. I hope he takes a shower before he comes.
Oh, man. Yeah. So can I jump in real quick?
I'm hot tagging you, bro.
Okay, thank you. Hot tag. So, Nikita, this is a funny story. So, I've interviewed David Isley before in the past on a podcast. And did you know that when you were out of town, David Isley would take your car to the Myrtle Beach dancing establishments.
Nikita, he had a Cadillac back in the day, a white Cadillac with tinted windows. And he was going out of town, and he and I were very close. And I said, "Hey, Nick, you're going to be out of town." I said, "Can I take your car out if I need to?" Yeah. And he said, "Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. Take the car." Well, I took his car and I drove it down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So back during those days, it was no secret. I'm not the same guy that I was back in those days, thank goodness. But I kind of frequented a lot of adult entertainment businesses.
Sure.
And so I had the car, full of the ladies, in the car one night, and we were riding around Myrtle Beach. And so when I finally went back to Concord, Nikita had not been home, and to this day, I still don't know how he found out. But he came up to me and he says, "What are you doing hanging around in Myrtle Beach with adult entertainers hanging out my car window?" And I still to this day never know how he found that out, but he did.
He had his sources in the KGB.
He did. Yeah, he really did. He really did.
Holy cow. Wow. We're starting with an incredible story. There you go.
Well, so one of his little road buddies is a guy by the name of Roger Gadd, who just last week I had in the studio because, some people know, some don't know. I've got a podcast as well called the Man Up Podcast.
Yes, it's great.
And Q&A with Koloff up on all the major podcast platforms. And I just had Roger in the studio doing a couple shows last week, and then a live show called True Talk Live on Truth Radio Network. And Roger has reminded me he was a little road buddy with David Isley.
No.
When they would confiscate my Cadillac and take it to Myrtle Beach. But the part I didn't know that you just enlightened me to was the little dance clubs that they were going to.
Yes.
I did not know that. So thank you for that little piece of information.
I do what I can.
Yeah, we're here to dig up dirt for you, man.
I do what I can.
I appreciate it. I can't wait to see David next time.
Don't tell him I said hi.
I will. Right after I rush and sickle him. I will.
Oh, man.
Hey, so here's something else, man, that I uncovered about you that I don't guess I realized, man. And it was on the internet, so it's got to be true. You legally changed you legally changed your name to Nikita Koloff.
I did as part of the.
Let me follow up real quick before you start answering. What made you do that? Like, did you identify yourself more as that person at that point? Was it something? Why'd you do that? And I'm not knocking it. I'm just wondering why.
Yeah. What's the story behind it, right? So
yeah.
So in my mind, anyone who spends any time around me. You go read my life story. I'm just, again, a shameless plug for the book, but you go read my life story. What you're going to find out, you spend time around me, I'm an all-in kind of guy, okay?
Right.
I mean, I started working out at the age of 12. I was in the gym this morning before this interview, and that's 53 consistent years of working out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Awesome.
53 consistent years. 5 days a week, typically I'm in the gym still. Okay. So I'm an all-in kind of guy. So when I got into wrestling, I thought if I'm going to make this successful, let me find some Russian, some information. I got a workbook. I got a cassette tape, for your younger audience, go Google that. That was a real thing, a cassette tape. So I learned a few words. I didn't really learn Russian, but I learned a few words and put a few things together that would make it sound like I really was from there. Yeah, and then it took 6 months before I spoke any English to kind of in my mind to how would a certain words sound if I was from there. And then the last piece of that puzzle was, man, I'm going to eventually probably get stopped or go through an airport or whatever. I my ID to say Nikita Koloff. So, so I legally changed it as just part of, getting the character over.
Yeah, living the gimmick, man.
Living the gimmick. Yeah, 100%. All in.
Yeah,
all
man.
in.
That's dedication right there. I mean, seriously. And that's like, I respect, obviously, people that, they don't kayfabe. That word's pretty much dead anymore. But like back then, it was not. You could still make them believe a little bit, and that's some serious kayfabe right there.
Yep, it was. That's taking it, I'd say, to another level, right?
Yeah. And honestly, I've heard this about you, that even around the boys in the dressing room, you kind of wouldn't come out of character too often.
Yeah, some of the guys. Johnny B. Bad. You guys know that name?
Yeah,
Johnny B. Bad?
Mark Merrill.
Right.
Mark Merrill. And he told me a story one time how, like, when he first came into the territory, like, he goes, first of all, let me just say, for the record, I was scared to death of you. Like, for the record. like legit. Like,
we all
I'm
were,
looking
man.
over going, what's going to happen if I have to wrestle that guy, right? But so he said, he goes, and I'm not exaggerating that. You frightened me. He goes, and then I'm sitting in the dressing room, and sometimes you'd be talking in character, and I'd lean over, I'd whisper. He goes, I whisper, but I go, does he know we're smart to the business? Like, we know he's not really from Russia? He goes, I never said nothing to you, but because I was so scared. But I was like, why is he still in character in the dressing room? It's part of my mindset. And guys, I didn't know this. I didn't hear this term until years later. But there is a term for that. Did you guys know that?
No, I don't think.
All right, I'm going to give you the term. It's a Hollywood term. It's called method acting.
Oh, yes,
I
method.
know what that is.
Yeah.
Method acting, and that's where you literally project yourself. That's what makes some of the greats the greats, is they project themselves into that actual role in the movie.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't know I was doing that, but I come later to learn that's what I was doing.
Yeah. That is exactly what you were doing.
Yeah.
That is exactly what you're doing. Jimmy, jump on in there.
Okay, so I had two favorite matches as a kid that were kind of what you would say not the normal matches. I loved anything Ricky Morton and the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll did together, any of that. But there were two Ric Flair matches that I absolutely loved, and it did not include Sting in this, actually. One of them, of course, was Hawk at the Bunkhouse Stampede. I thought he and Hawk had a great match, told a great story, and saw how well Hawk could work outside of a tag team. And then the second match that I absolutely loved, and will watch it to this day, was you and Ric Flair at the Night of the Skywalkers, man, and that big scaffold above you guys. Talk about working Flair, and that was just such a great match, and I think it's an underrated match, actually.
I appreciate it. I really do. The fans are the greatest. Shout out to all the fans out there, all the wrestling fans. Kudos to all of you. They keep track of and record things and blow me away. They post stuff on my social media or tag me in it and all that sort of thing. And I'm like, gosh, I completely forgot I wrestled so-and-so, fill in the blank or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Mean Mark Callis, a.k.a. Undertaker.
Right.
They recently posted a picture with me and Terry Gordy, which was over in Japan. And I'm like, oh, wow, Terry and I were partners. Yeah, you forget a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But going back to Flair, again, for those who maybe don't know the full story, I break in, from a 5-minute phone call. Animal calls me. I call Jim Crockett Promotions, talk to Jim Crockett, 5 minutes. Months later, without another conversation, show up the day he said to be there, which, for the record, by the way, you go back to that statement at the age of 12, one day I'm going to look like one of those guys. The day I walked into Jim Crockett's office, I was 285 pounds, 8% body fat, and a 34-inch waist. So I become what I said I would. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward 13 months later, I kind of left out he debuted me on television in a sold-out crowd in Raleigh, North Carolina, Dorton Arena, having never been in a ring before. So no pressure there. Okay? and then 13 months later, I'm wrestling Flair for the first time ever at the Great American Bash in Charlotte in front of however many thousands of people. And then a couple years later, or a year later, I guess, about a year and a half later, that Skywalker match. And so all that said, apparently I had more matches against Flair than anybody else in my career. He topped the chart. And, I mean, he was the consummate pro. I mean, he could make a broomstick look good. He made Nikita Koloff look good. And so, nothing but good things to say about Rick in terms of stepping in the ring with him and being the consummate pro and making me look good. And all I had to do, guys, it was like a dance, or I just had to follow his lead. And if I did that, hopefully the fans were entertained and we had a great match night in and night out.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, man.
That's cool.
Let's take a quick time out and get a word from one of my dope-ass sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
And we're back with Canva Presents Secret Sounds Work Edition. Caller, guess this sound.
It's a mouse click.
So close. That's actually publishing a website with Canva Docs. Next caller.
Definitely a mouse click.
Nice try. It was sorting 100 sticky notes with a Canva whiteboard. We also would have accepted resizing a Canva video into 10 different sizes.
What? No way.
Yes way. One click can go a long way. Love your work at canva.com.
Are you done with the cold? Well, on Saturday, March 29th, we've got something to warm you up. It's Glory Days GrappleCon 2 at the Residence in Tampa Suncoast in Lutz, Florida. This all-day event will be a WCW reunion and feature the stars you remember, such as Double A Arn Anderson, the Russian Nightmare Nikita Koloff, Ming, Dirty Dutch Mantel, Colonel Robert Parker, Bunkhouse Buck, and much, much more. There will be over a dozen stars in attendance. Make sure to head on over to tickstreet.com to get your tickets for Glory Days GrappleCon 2.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el Jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
Hi, here's your report.
Thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire a whole team of yous.
Try posting a job on LinkedIn. It's the world's largest professional network. Unlike resumes, LinkedIn gives a real-time view into a candidate's skills, experiences, and more.
Huh, let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Find your perfect match with LinkedIn. Post your free job at linkedin.com/achieve. That's linkedin.com/achieve. Terms and conditions apply.
So my heroes were the Road Warriors. We've kind of touched on them a little bit. Got to meet them, got to work with them quite a few times, and they were always very nice to me. Talk about Joe and Mike.
Yeah, it was great. So Joe and I go back, recruiting him out of high school. We become best of friends, spent a couple of years together playing college football together. Met Mike later on after they became a tag team and became a thing. And created the Legion of Doom, and then really to work with them, in the early days when Ivan and I, double Russian chain match, or
I love it. Oh my gosh,
yeah, just a tag match or whatever. I think great chemistry. I think again, like I feel I had great chemistry with Flair. I feel like I had great chemistry with them. Magnum TA, the best of 7, U.S. title. Certain guys, I just felt like I stepped in the ring with, and it was like if you want to say a cliche, a night off, it wasn't, it wasn't hard. It was easy. And certainly the Road Warriors made it easy.
Only Nikita would call the Road Warriors a night off.
Really? Nobody else calls them that?
I've never heard that.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny.
That is good.
Oh.
What about Ricky and Robert?
Yeah, I cut my teeth. I learned from them. Again, in that first 13 months, I think they were my first official main event match in Conway, South Carolina, where Ivan and I were wrestling the two of them for the, I think at least one of the first times, and then worked the program with them. Dropped the World Tag Team belts on them to kind of put them on the map. And then would later win them back from them and just kind of matches back and forth. But, the underdog, right? The ultimate underdog,
right.
Everyone thought, little guy, these little guys can't do anything against the Russian Bear and the Russian Nightmare, but, they surprised everybody by winning the belts, and kind of put them on the map, so to speak. And then from there, just felt like we had, just great, really great matches against them.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. They taught me a lot as well. I love them too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay, so this is actually funny. A mutual friend of all three of ours, actually. He has a lot to do with Wolfie's start in the business. I know that you got to know him about 10 years ago when you were doing your TV show with your daughter and your family there. And I just got to know him through working with a little bit in Nashville, and that's Rick Reynolds. You know Rick, right?
Yeah.
From out in Tennessee. You actually came out and worked at All-Star Wrestling out there with him. But anyway, Rick brought Wolfie into the business, and he always talks about you, and he wanted to say hey to you. So wanted to get that.
Columbia, I think, Rick. Columbia, Tennessee. Or at least
that's exactly right.
In Columbia. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I wanted to say
I've known Rick since I was about 8 years old.
Wow, that's great. That's crazy. That's cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Him and my stepdad were friends.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's cool.
I got a real question now. So I have to know this because I don't think I've ever heard you answer this question, and I know that I would kick myself if I didn't ask you this. So around 97, 98, WCW is kind of taken over by storm, not by the NWO, but by a gentleman that breathes fire and smoke and kicks butt and says who's next, and Goldberg. Nikita, I cannot say this with a straight face that I do not think that Goldberg was a Nikita Koloff ripoff, but what I would say is I couldn't. I even maybe screamed that at him at big events. But anyway, I liked you when they called you Nikita. But talk about Goldberg. What did you think when you saw him?
I hear you. What a metamorphosis, right? To transition from the Russian Nightmare into Goldberg, right?
I know, right. I'm sure you heard that a lot when he happened, when he came around. I'm sure people were like, "Oh my gosh, this is the Nikita resurrection or something." What did you hear around that time? I'm sure.
So no, it's a great question, and so this is the way I understand it. I could be totally off the mark on this, but I thought I heard that from Terry Taylor himself, and maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know, but when I walked away from wrestling in November of '92, and found myself 11 months later on a completely different trajectory, a different path. A lot of people know my story. It was at that moment, October 17, 1993, that I surrendered my life to Christ and became a Christ follower, and began pursuing, that path that eventually led me into full-time ministry. So I wasn't really watching wrestling. I kind of, it was a chapter in my life, very grateful and thankful, and I kind of didn't have time for TV, but I started hearing stories, right? So I started hearing about him. And then one day, somewhere, somehow, he was in a magazine, and I was in a section, but like a "Where Are They Now" kind of thing.
Yeah.
And in the magazine, it was talking about Koloff for Christ Ministries, and I'm a minister and evangelist and all that. And it had my picture and it had his picture, and I'm like, oh my gosh! And I can vividly remember this. I like folded the pictures in half and put them side by side. And I was like, wow, that's pretty uncanny. I mean, wow, that looks pretty similar, you know?
Yeah.
And then even people started saying the mannerisms and different things, you know. Instead of the sickle, it was the spear, and even sticking out the tongue and just the different things. And then I believe Terry told me in those early days that he had flashed some past matches of mine as he was training him. And so that's where I perhaps some of the similarities maybe came from. If you ever talk to Terry Taylor, see if he confirms that, and if that is 100% bona fide truth. But that's the way I heard the story, and why there's so many similarities and mannerisms the way I understand it. So
that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. Well, thank you.
I know you're looking forward to GrappleCon 2 coming up. Where can the people go to get this book?
Well, let me just on the GrappleCon. Let me just say real quick.
Yeah.
Some people may or may not know. I know you mentioned Saturday, which if I don't mention this name, I'll never live it down and hear the end of it. I understand Double A Arn Anderson is going to be there at GrappleCon 2.
My spot.
He'll never let me forget that if I don't mention his name. I love you, Arn. But let me say, too, for the fans out there, Friday night on the 28th, I'm going to do a 60-minute solo Q&A.
Awesome.
On that Friday night, and then the signing from 12 to 3 on Saturday, and then I am going to do a special WCW panel from 3:30 to 5, and then I'll be jumping in a car and heading south because the next day I'm doing a special baby dedication for a friend down in Southern Florida and preaching at his church down there, and so I'll be down in Florida for the whole weekend, but looking forward to going back to Tampa and just having a great time there. As far as the books, I appreciate you let me mention those. So Nikita, A Tale of the Ring of Redemption, and recently updated. And then I went in the studio, guys. I went in the studio and spent 25 hours in the studio recording my life story in my own voice.
That's awesome.
For Audible. Now, I tell people they can't get the Audible one signed, but they can get the hard copy signed, right? So Ring of Redemption, I tell people that one's inspirational. And the other one they'll get from my website if they're interested is Wrestling with Success, Developing a Championship Mentality. And that one is motivational. And all of that, they can go to Koloff.net. That's Koloff, simply Koloff.net. My last name. And I personalize I sign and personalize every book. They can connect to my podcast, social media, and last but not least, Lex Luger and I every spring and every fall do a camp for guys in a little town called Royston, Georgia. Next one's coming up April 6th. They can get all that information. It's called Man Camp. They can get all that information linked to that website. Guys come from all over, come from Europe, Canada, all over America. And Lex and I just take a few days to empower and equip guys to just be men, to be better.
I love that.
Yeah. So
we need more of that.
And you see a lot of great stories on there. Just tons of stories. Marriages being restored, relationships with sons and daughters and dads, and just a great outreach that Lex and I have there in Georgia. So go to Koloff.net, check it all out, and I'm sure everybody will find something there that they may interest them.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Thank you for coming
Immensely.
on. And for a shoot, please tell Dan Spivey that Wolfie D said hello when you see him. Thank you.
I will. So I'm not going to see either of you guys at the GrappleCon.
No, we're both up. He's in Charlotte, and I'm over in Kentucky. So yeah.
Yeah.
You're in Charlotte. You're in Charlotte. You're stone's throw away, man.
I know.
Charlotte, bro.
Jimmy's in Charlotte. I'm in Kentucky, but yeah.
I'm Wolfie's in Kentucky. I could have bought you lunch though. Anytime you want that, Nikita, let me know. Okay. So.
You're legit in Charlotte, Jimmy.
Yes, sir. I'm in Mooresville, up off of exit 31. So yeah.
Okay, all right. Because I got a little office in Fort Mill and a little place in Kannapolis, not far from you. So
not far.
Now that I know that, yeah, we may have to break some bread together, Jimmy, and spend and just get to know each other a little more. So
you let me know whenever, buddy. Okay, thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Wolfie D.
Yes,
thank
sir.
You, my friend.
Thank you so much for coming on and doing this. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. All right, have a wonderful day, all your listeners out there, all your followers. Hopefully, see you in Tampa, and if not in Tampa, somewhere else at a signing down the road.
For sure, man.
Sounds awesome.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, that was Nikita. And how awesome was that? And we will be right back with something we ain't done in a minute, and it's called Ask Wolfie D Anything.
DJ, listen to some commercials.
And now a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Hyundai. Think you know what an electric vehicle should be? Think again. From the charge time and range in the Ioniq 5 and 6 to the 601 horsepower Ioniq 5N, Hyundai is redefining what EVs should be. Learn more about Hyundai EVs at HyundaiUSA.com. EPA estimated 303-mile driving range for 2024 Ioniq 5 SE SEL limited rear-wheel drive and 361-mile driving range for 2024 Ioniq 6 SE long-range rear-wheel drive with fully charged battery. Actual range may vary.
It's winter, and you can now get almost anything you need for the coldest months of the year delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a ski slope delivered, but you can get dish soap delivered. Sunshine, that's a no. But a bottle of wine, that's a yes. A snow angel, sorry, no. But angel hair pasta, Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol and select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
All right, we are back with Ask Wolfie D Anything. Man, first off, we got to start off talking about Nikita Koloff, dude. Wow.
Yeah, that was really good, man. Really a pleasure and honor to have him on. Really cool. And I never got to meet him in person, but man, he almost acted like he'd known me for years.
Man, he's just got that way about him, brother.
Yeah, man. Nice
Seriously.
guy, man.
Yeah,
nice guy.
Yeah. Well, we for sure want to thank you, Captain Corner Nick, for helping us out with that one. We've really appreciated this little run we've had with you. But man, Nikita Koloff, bro, that was one we never thought we would even get, right? Wolf?
Right. No shit, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Nikita, and we definitely appreciate that. But man, oh man, Wolfie, this has been highly requested. The return of Ask Wolfie. All we say is keep the real questions coming, brothers. Keep them coming.
Yeah, we had to let y'all refresh because we were getting a lot of duplicates and just stuff like weird stuff.
yeah. And I mean, you loved both your gimmicks, PG-13 and Slash.
Yeah,
you love them for two different reasons, but at the same time, you loved them both. So yeah. We do have some questions for you, brother. So the first one is from @JohnLewis6196 on YouTube, and John has been one of the biggest promoters for bringing back Ask Wolfie. So John, this one's for you, buddy. Okay. So he said, I'm glad you brought back Ask Wolfie D Anything. I got a question for Ask Wolfie. who would you rather watch prime? Like prime Jerry Lawler or prime Hulk Hogan? I never liked Hogan. When he would start hulking up, I thought it was stupid. But when Lawler would pull the strap, I thought it was real.
Yeah, man. I'd have to go with Lawler prime. And the hulking up, man. It was kind of corny, but I mean, there's lots of guys that have done a similar fashion of that. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
You know, and then he just took it to that when I think he got it exaggerated more as time went on. You know, at first it wasn't as comical looking, you know, and then it got worse as time went on. But yeah, definitely. And I've said this to a lot of people, man. I know you've heard me say it 1,000 times. Is that when Lawler pulled that strap, if he was walking down the streets of Memphis, motherfuckers would take off running.
Right. Watch your step.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit. And I swear I hated that, man. It's one thing I hate about WWE, man. It's like he didn't pull the strap. You know, it wasn't a thing there, and I hated that.
I know. That is such a great thing, but it didn't. It's like they didn't think it fit his heel, you know, gimmick or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah,
and maybe the fan base at that time when he was, you know, they wouldn't really know what was going on. I don't know. Maybe because you know, it feels like now, like if you're a fan of WWE or you know, if you watch wrestling, you kind of know a little bit about everything because of the internet and things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know that they would have been ready for that back in the 90s.
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. But the hulking up, man, that's so classic, right? I mean, honestly, it's called hulking up, you know? So
yeah.
You know, but,
I mean, I've heard that used, you know, like guys going over stuff, hulk up a little bit, you know, not necessarily do it just like him, but like calling a match, you give him that hulk up a little bit.
Yeah, the hulk up that fits your style. Like you're not going to stand there and shake and brother, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe
no
like
sell me.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly. We'll call it Wolfie up from now on. How about that?
I've wolfied up a few times.
I'm sure you've wolfied up. I might have wolfied up myself every once in a while. But oh yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, the next question again is from John Lewis. Like I said, he was so disappointed that we took it away for a minute. So he has made it his one-man mission to bring this bad boy back.
We had to let them hulk up, didn't we?
Right. John, hulk up,
do
bro.
Shit.
Yeah. You need to start hulking up with the questions or Wolfie's going to drop the strap.
Or I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. So question for Ask Wolfie D Anything. Now, this is going back to the C.W. Bergstrom, and I was a little bit, I think I've understood it since then, but basically he's asking, he says, please explain to me what C.W. meant or what you think he meant when he said he went for a ride with Lawler and Pringle.
Funny you say that, too, because I went for the ride, as they say.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever went for the ride with Lawler and Percy Pringle. You know, I was in the band.
I'm at a loss. I'm not sure what we're talking about here.
And they were asking me a lot of questions.
Oh, so you made a road trip.
I just answered a lot of those questions wrong.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Okay. All right. I think I'm kind of in on it, but I'm pretty sure I kind of got your drift.
Yeah, but it was a great ride because, I mean, I was, you know, it was after the show. I think we were like in Lawler or something, Oklahoma. It seemed like Lawler, Oklahoma, because everybody knew him. I mean, even the police force and everything, man, they pulled us over. You know how they used to have roadblocks all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, right through. Lawler, oh, Mr. Lawler, how you doing? Yeah, go on through.
Yeah,
you know?
man. Dude, he's definitely the king for a reason, man.
Oh, yeah. You know why they call him the king after you've been there, for sure.
For sure,
you know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's like the Burger King. He gets his way. You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember when he said that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, at the time when he said it, because he said it in a different way, didn't he?
It almost was like a little, it seemed a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it seemed to have multiple meanings.
Like there was a gimmick to it or something.
Right.
Like that could have involved, we'll just say a female.
Sure. Yes.
Without saying any names.
Right. Without saying any names. But is that the vibe you took? Because here's what I was taking from it. Almost
What'd
like they did a ride, and this sounds stupid now that you've said something with some knowledge to it, but that they took a ride and they would take new guys to the territory on a ride to see if they knew what they were doing or not. But
I mean, that's quite possible too. But man, many people didn't get to ride with Lawler.
I know. I could tell you were a little jealous, honestly.
Unless they were doing some favors for Lawler and his female companion at the time.
I see what you're saying. So, yeah.
Because I know for a fact there was one person, I'm not saying names, one person that I know that Lawler threatened to fire him for not showing up at his house and servicing the person.
Oh my God. Okay.
Swear to Christ. Swear to God.
Okay.
So that could be, and you know, Bergstrom was a big dude. That person was kind of into the big muscular men, you know?
Okay.
Could have been. I'm just saying.
Could have been a cowboy. Anyway, yeah, man. Okay, now that's putting a totally different light.
Yeah, I mean, I could be way off the mark, but I don't think I am.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because you've heard a few things. Yeah. Okay. I got it. And so him bringing, I mean, because have you ever been to Lawler's house?
No. I've been in the driveway. I didn't even get Randy had to go grab something or whatever, and I just waited in the car.
So here's this guy that's coming from the Pacific Northwest, right? He's coming in with the principal gimmick, and I mean nothing wrong with that. CW's a cool guy. I'm not knocking him, but he's kind of coming in, and I mean, and then you're a lifer,
yeah,
and you're like, wait a second, that ain't, yeah. Anyway, okay.
Well, you know, me and Jamie were party guys,
right? And Lawler is not. Yeah,
yeah, and if you know. You didn't get those kind of opportunities if you did that kind of thing.
You chose A or B. A had some perks for sure, and B had some perks. And then you just picked the perks you like. Never mind. Just kidding. Anyway, so... All right. So that was funny. Yeah. Okay. So does that make any sense, John? I hope it does. If not, we're not going into it any further. So, all right. The next question is from Kyle Samples on YouTube. And this was pivoting back to the Wolfie and Cahagas match. Okay. So he says, great match, Wolfie and Cahagas. What's the name of the valet, please? Hold on. Don't. And I remember when you planted Samantha with a pile driver during a match in Memphis. Have you ever pile driven other valet?
Definitely.
Oh my God, hold on. Oh my God.
that just struck you as funny, huh?
Oh my God. Yes.
I don't know, man. That I've given a pile drive to any other chick. I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh.
I know I've done the spanking spot and stuff like that, but
Whirly Byrd, Mickey James.
Whirly Byrd, Mickey James. That's right.
Yeah. But the pile driver was not something of the normal repertoire. Let's just say that, right?
Yeah. I forgot about that. But man, bless little Mickey for doing that.
Yeah.
I chunked her ass.
Poor thing, man. She probably didn't weigh nothing, did she? Like,
no.
Yeah. It's like, holy crap, is there somebody on my back?
Yeah.
Oh, well, anyway.
And then she gave me her Karana off the top.
Yeah. Which,
not a bad position to be in.
No, it's not. I was going to say something there, but I decided not to. Anyway,
the name of the valet, there's a bad history there, and I'm just not gonna put that over.
Yeah. Hoss Funk, I think, was what they named her, right? Hoss.
Yeah.
She was
Crazy.
not a Hoss.
Crazy
yeah,
is what they do,
okay, crazy. Maybe go watch the video again and listen really close and see if you can hear it. If that way might tell you. But other than that, bad history, let's just leave it in the past.
Yeah. It was a great match, though, and I appreciate the compliment.
It was, and
and to be honest, she took that bump like a champ. I got to give her that.
Yeah.
For one thing, she did good.
Yeah. Well, hey, by the way, Cahagas has been a total MVP for us, man, too. So
yeah, for sure.
Thank him immensely. I mean, he's helped us get some super cool guests. So thank you. But yeah, man, that's all the questions I got for this fine edition of Ask Wolfie D Anything.
Yeah, fine addition to the show as well. Nikita Koloff, brother.
I know, man.
All right. Well, so next week should be we'll try to top it.
We're gonna try.
We'll always try. So tune in next week, and we'll see you then.
Still live and in color on the Wolfie D. We got a cap for your zone.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum, built for business by American Express.
Every cup of Nespresso coffee is an invitation to transform your morning routine into a ritual you can treasure each and every day. Using the Virtuo Pop, a simple touch of the button freshly brews bold aromas and a rich, velvety crema layer for delicious cafe-quality coffee at home. Whether you enjoy your coffee hot or over ice, every sip, every morning is unforgettable. Nothing tastes like Nespresso coffee. Visit Nespresso.com or our app to explore our full range of easy-to-use machines and coffees not found anywhere else.
This episode is brought to you by Nerds Gummy Clusters, the sweet treat that always elevates the vibe. With a sweet gummy surrounded with tangy, crunchy nerds, every bite of Nerds Gummy Clusters brings you a whole new world of flavor. Whether it's game night, on the way to a concert, or kicking back with your crew, unleash your senses with Nerds Gummy Clusters.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Chic, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to uswapodcast.com.
So that was another great episode. Hey, Wolfie, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Jimmy, they can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I'm just kidding. They can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Warren Wolf, WOLFE. I'm on Instagram at Warren Wolf 13.
You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Wolfie D. Here's the thing. Wolfie always has offers for his autographed photos. He has a selection of some awesome photos from throughout his career that he will autograph and personally personalize any way that you want him to. Just contact him either directly at his personal Facebook page or through any one of our other pages, and we'll make sure you get in contact directly with Wolfie. Get those photos, right, Wolfie?
Yeah, I've got some good stuff on there, to help with the podcast.
Folks, if you can't get out to a show to meet Wolfie D, there's nothing like that, especially for the fans of PG-13 and Wolfie D. And before we go, you can always find me, your host, Jimmy Street, at jamesrockstreet on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And hey, Jimmy, before we go real quick, I just want to add in there, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate, first of all, the work you've done for this podcast. You have worked your butt off. Secondly, the people that are liking the page. Beyond that, even more, is the people that are listening, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the podcast drops a new episode every Monday at noon, and our past episodes are streaming now on demand on all major podcast formats. Thanks again.
Yeah. PG-13 Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame Class of 2024. Give it up. Spaceman Jones with the beat. Here we go. The 90s was ours, and we did it with pride. 15-time tag champs, what a hell of a ride. Rock and roll couldn't beat us, so Tommy and Doug. Knox Mother's dirty white boy who called themselves thugs. T is for terrible, H is for hell. Ha! PG both been locked up in county jail. The kid was real, and we were immature punks. Buddy Wayne couldn't stand us because we didn't wear trunks. We did it our way. In and out of the ring, bought a real rap swagger to the Memphis thing. You can hate it, you can love it, we just did our thing. Still true to the game, now we Hall of Fame. PG-13, put respect on our name. Yeah.
This has been a James Rock Street production.